Beneath a skin of muddy water, a large fish turns in a circle that grows smaller every day. Above it, the sun is burning the river away. The fish is easier to find now, but soon this pool may hold too little water, too little oxygen, and too little life. The opportunity is growing at the same moment it is disappearing. Along the Upper Semliki River, the edge of the water has moved again. Fresh mud becomes cracked earth. Animal tracks gather around the remaining pools. An ancient community watches the same signs, because hunger is approaching from one direction and thirst from another. The river is no longer only a place. It has become a clock. Strike too early, and the fish can escape into deeper water. Wait too long, and the pool may fail before the people can use it. Somewhere between those two mistakes lies a narrow moment of survival. Can they read the river before the last pools disappear? This story takes place in Central Africa, roughly 90,000 to 80,000 years ago, during the Middle Stone Age. The setting is Katanda, beside the Upper Semliki River in the Western Rift Valley. We do not know the names of the people who lived here, and the surviving evidence does not identify the makers with certainty. What remains is their work. When seasonal water spreads across a floodplain, fish can enter new feeding grounds among grasses, channels, and submerged vegetation. The river becomes wider than its main channel. Food is scattered through a moving landscape, rich but difficult to predict from one hour to the next. In high water, there are more places for a fish to vanish. Then the water falls. Channels narrow. Lagoons separate. Shallow pools become islands of water inside a field of drying mud. Fish that once moved across a broad floodplain are drawn back toward the remaining channels and depressions. Their world contracts, and for anyone who understands that rhythm, the dry season can reveal what the floods concealed. At Katanda, archaeologists found carefully shaped bone tools, including barbed and unbarbed points, in Middle Stone Age deposits associated with abundant remains of large freshwater fish. Dating studies place these discoveries around 80,000 years ago, with uncertainty around the exact age. They are among the most remarkable early examples of specialized bone technology known from sub-Saharan Africa. The bone survived. Most of the system around it did not. A wooden shaft could decay. Fiber bindings could disappear. Gestures, timing, and group strategies leave no simple fossil. Archaeology gives us the durable fragments, not a complete scene. So what follows is not a record of one proven day. It is one possible story built around real evidence and real river ecology. Imagine a small community returning to a familiar bend in the river. One adult notices old watermarks on a tree. Another checks a barbed point for damage. A younger observer studies the ripples where a side channel meets a shrinking pool. None of them is a named historical person. Together, they represent the kinds of knowledge the artifacts alone cannot preserve. Their problem is larger than catching a fish. The remaining water attracts many lives at once. The mud is unstable. The heat takes strength from every movement. A failed attempt does not cost only a tool. It costs time, energy, and clear water. Each mistake disturbs the pool, while the dry season continues without pause. The first attempt comes while the pool is still broad. From the bank, a dark shape seems close enough. An adult steadies a straight wooden shaft and waits for the fish to cross an opening. The movement is careful, but the water still offers too many directions. The fish turns once, and the dark shape dissolves beneath the surface. Water changes what the eye receives. Light bends as it passes between water and air, making a submerged fish appear slightly higher than it is. But refraction is only part of the problem. The target is moving. The hand is moving. The surface is trembling. A point aimed at an image may pass through the place where the fish never was. The miss creates another enemy. Fine sediment rises from the bottom and turns the pool opaque. A second strike would be almost blind. The community steps back. Waiting feels costly when the water is vanishing. Yet repeated motion would waste more energy and hide the fish for longer. Sometimes the fastest choice is to stop. Heat changes the calculation. Every walk across exposed mud demands water from the body. Every pull against deep silt uses strength that cannot be recovered quickly. The people cannot chase every ripple. They need the river to reduce the search for them. And they need to recognize the moment when concentration becomes advantage rather than collapse. The bank holds a record. A pale line on bark marks an older level. Damp soil beneath an overhang marks a more recent one. Fresh footprints cut across mud that was underwater the day before. None of these signs gives a number. Together, they reveal direction and speed. The river is falling faster now. Movement reveals another clue. Birds wait beside a narrow outlet, not in the center of the pool. Small ripples appear in the same passage again and again. As the water withdraws, fish seek the deepest connection that remains. The community is no longer watching the entire pool. Attention narrows to a corridor. A tool also carries information. A plain point can be narrow and direct, but a barbed form offers a different possibility. Once engaged, the backward-facing projections may make it harder for a struggling fish to slip free. Archaeological evidence suggests that some Katanda points were used in aquatic hunting, although the exact function of every object cannot be known. Making such a point requires more than breaking a bone into a sharp fragment. The material must be selected, reduced, scraped, ground, and shaped with control. Each barb must be strong enough to survive pressure without becoming too thick or irregular. The finished object records a sequence of decisions, and perhaps knowledge passed from one skilled hand to another. The surviving point was probably only one part of a larger implement. A shaft and binding would make practical sense, but wood and fiber rarely endure as bone does. Their presence here is a reconstruction, not a discovery from the site. The distinction matters because a believable image is not automatically a proven fact. Meanwhile, the pool is changing chemically as well as visibly. Shallow water warms quickly. Decaying material consumes oxygen. In small floodplain pools, oxygen can fall dangerously low during the dry season. A concentrated fish population is not a storehouse that will remain fresh. The same process that gathers the fish can also destroy the opportunity. By late afternoon, the pieces begin to connect. The falling water has narrowed the route. The fish repeatedly cross one shallow passage. The repaired point sits straight on its shaft. One possible strategy is taking shape. Do not chase the fish across the pool. Let the pool guide them toward a place where several people can act as one. The plan begins with stillness. One adult waits beside the narrow passage with the barbed point held above the water. Two others remain farther back, leaving the fish an open path toward the channel. They are not building a complex trap. They are reducing disturbance, watching the same corridor and preparing to close space only when movement begins. A slow step changes the pressure in the shallows. A branch lowered near one edge changes the easiest route without sealing it. The fish turn away from the disturbance and move toward the outlet they have used before. This is a reconstruction, but it follows a simple principle. Influence movement with less energy than a chase would require. Small fish pass first. The waiting adult does nothing. A hurried strike would cloud the passage and end the attempt. Then the mud behind them shifts. A broader shadow enters the corridor, low and slow. The point follows its direction without touching the surface. For a few breaths, patience becomes the most important tool in the scene. The first opening closes too quickly. The fish turns before the shaft is committed. Earlier, that movement might have triggered a desperate thrust. Now, the adult stops. The water remains clear enough to read. Failure has changed meaning. It is no longer proof that the method cannot work. It is information about distance, angle, and timing. A second ripple appears closer to the bank. The younger observer sees it first. Positions shift by only a few steps. No one speaks. The group is now responding to the river rather than forcing a fixed plan upon it. Their advantage is not perfect prediction. It is the ability to revise together. The larger shadow enters the shallows again. This time the shaft moves toward the fish beneath the image on the surface. Water and silt hide the moment of contact. There is no clean view of a wound, only a sudden weight, a bend in the adult's stance, and the straight shaft pulling against something powerful below. The others do not rush into the mud. They hold their positions and keep the path clear. The barbed point may help resist the fish's movement, but the outcome still depends on balance and control. The struggle is brief and hidden by brown water. Then the resistance moves toward the bank. When the tool rises, the community's reaction is quiet. There is relief, not triumph over an enemy. The fish is food, and the moment is costly. More movement continues in the pool, but now the group understands the corridor, the angle, and the rhythm. One success can be repeated carefully before the light is gone. The next attempts are not identical. A fish changes direction. A binding needs tightening. One passage becomes too muddy, so the group waits for another. Success is a process of adjustment, not a perfect technique performed without error. By sunset, they have gained food without exhausting the pool, their bodies, or their attention. The breakthrough is larger than the point itself. It joins three forms of knowledge: memory of the seasonal river, observation of fish movement, and control of a specialized tool. Remove any one of them, and the result becomes less certain. Technology matters, but technology becomes powerful only when it is used inside an understanding of place and time. Archaeology cannot prove that this exact strategy unfolded at Katanda. It cannot tell us who stood where, who noticed the ripple, or how many seasons shaped the method. What it can show is that people here made sophisticated bone points and lived among rich aquatic resources. The reconstruction explores what such evidence could have meant in motion. At a safe place above the river, the catch becomes more than an object pulled from water. It becomes shared food, immediate energy, and time gained before the next move. The film does not assume a specific method of preservation. It shows only careful handling, division, and preparation for near-term use, because the evidence does not tell us exactly what followed. The most durable result may not be visible in the meal. One observer traces the falling bank in the soil. Another repeats the shape of the narrow outlet. A gesture shows where the point should wait. Knowledge moves between people without leaving a bone or a stone behind. This invisible inheritance may have been renewed every season. Tool-making can carry the same memory. The curve of a barb, the thickness near the tip, and the place where binding grips the shaft all reflect earlier successes and failures. A finished point is not simply an invention. It is a lesson stored in material, ready to be examined, copied, altered, and passed on. Human innovation did not advance along one straight road, and Katanda does not stand for every ancient population. Across Africa, communities faced different climates, materials, animals, and opportunities. Their solutions could appear, change, disappear, or be reinvented. The deeper pattern is flexibility, the capacity to build a way of life around what a particular landscape offered. In that sense, the dry season changes the community before it changes the river again. It rewards memory over impulse, cooperation over pursuit, and timing over force. The people leave with food, but also with a clearer map of the season in their minds. If they return, the river will not be entirely unknown. By morning, another ring of mud surrounds the pool. The corridor used the day before is almost gone. The community cannot remain simply because yesterday brought success. A seasonal strategy includes knowing when to leave. The river offered a brief concentration of life, and then the same clock that created the opportunity closed it. The barbed points of Katanda do not give us the names or voices of their makers. They do reveal careful work, specialized form, and a close relationship with aquatic resources. Combined with the ecology of a falling river, they support a powerful possibility. Survival may have depended on recognizing not only what to use, but exactly when to use it. Yet one mystery begins where this story ends. A seasonal catch can provide many fish at once, but tropical heat can quickly take that advantage away. Did ancient communities cook the fish immediately, dry it, smoke it, share it, or move before it spoiled? Organic evidence is fragile, and the answer is far less visible than a point made of bone. The river remembers in mud. People remember in knowledge. Survival begins by learning when the world is about to change.